Hello. Sorry. Must have got a toenail caught in my throat. Hello, and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Spiker Christensen. I'm sorry I forgot my Prada at the dry cleaners, along with my you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag. We've got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
You nailed that. And he was my best friend, and the chair's just empty.
Well, your best friend is suing you for $500 million. Great. Tell me something I don't know. I'm trying to do my best Jesse Eisenberg impression of Mark Zuckerberg. It's funny. It's all over the place. And we've got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
Are you still dialed in?
Where is he? He's dialed in right now. You can't reach him.
Dude, he plays the perfect douchebag. Holy cow.
That's what's amazing. Also, I saw
Justin Timberlake.
I saw a video that was talking about Dave Fincher, or thank you for all the computer laptops who gave their lives so that David Fincher could get the perfect shot for this scene. And it's just like him smashing like 18, 20 laptops. It's amazing.
Well, and I watched the behind the scenes, Cameron. There's the scene where he's eating that burger over and over again. He said that the first 7 or 9 takes, he's like, I came in on an empty stomach. So I was like, all right, I can do this. And he said by like take 9, he's like, oh, I feel sick.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, dude, I would not want to be eating in any movie scene. Sounds miserable.
Not with David, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not with David. And maybe even not even Sam Raimi or Stanley Kubrick. Those would be the 3, I think, notorious. Like,
why Sam Raimi? Because they'd get messy.
No, because Sam Raimi would do the remember he did practical effects with Spider-Man. I just remember they did this one take like 100 times where he had to catch all 3 items on the tray. That was all done practically. And you're like, why? Not necessary, but it's funny and it's great that they did it. They did like a dude perfect, or like yeah, it's great. And we've got a guest today. We got Grant Mickle on the podcast.
Dating you is like dating a Stairmaster.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
What a great this movie just throws you right in. They're having this conversation, comes out of nowhere. We don't know who these 2 people are, but then obviously if you see the poster or know like, oh, this is supposed to be Mark Zuckerberg, who is this lady interest? And they're going back and forth. This conversation is happening a million miles a minute. It's written by no less than Aaron Sorkin, who I would expect nothing less from. It's just like fast dialogue. There's callbacks in one conversation, and it almost feels so real. It's like hyper real, where everyone's saying the quickest thing. And yet it kind of works because these are 2 very intellectual human beings that think
she's
about
not
things.
Intellectual type. She goes to Boston. She goes to BU.
That's true. It's true. We're only here because door guy, we were friends. I did not, by the way, dude.
Well, I love too that like David Fincher, to make it feel more real, he actually had everybody talking in the background. Usually extras are silent and then they add in sound. That's why it kind of
so chaotic.
Forces it forces you to like lean in.
You're like, oh, was that an important detail?
Yeah.
Is this foreshadowing? Is this, and it literally is. Like, this whole opening scene is going to come into, if you want to understand the emotional weight of the ending, where he keeps asking a friend request from her. Pretty intense. Gosh, this movie's so good. They need a sequel to this. I can't believe I'm saying this. David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin need to pair up again and do like Mark Zuckerberg in front of Congress, doing like all the crazy trials that are going on now. They're like, Mr. Zuckerberg, is it true that you've meddled with the outcomes of elections? He's like, remember to smile. In his head, he's thinking like, remember to be polite and smile. Like, so weird. These guy's like an alien from another planet. Like, have you seen the one where he's like,
he's a lizard man.
Ribs? You guys
lizard
have seen
robot, Grant.
He's a wizard.
No, a lizard.
A lizard.
A lizard and a robot. He's literally the 4-armed man in that it's Revenge of the Sith. What's his name? General Grievous. Folks, let's get into this movie. What was it like watching it for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start you off, Grant.
I don't remember the first time I watched it. I just remember enjoying it a lot, and I've seen it a couple of times since then. It's just a really good watch, and it's a really recommendable movie.
Yeah, unlike some of the movies
that was
we watch.
such a memorable thing you just said, Grant. I don't want to say anything else.
No, it's a good watch.
You fed a chicken to a chicken. Forced cannibalism.
I love how even the lawyers crack up at that. They're like,
You had animal abuse. You had abused an animal that was in your care. Um, Cameron, what was it like watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the podcast?
So it's funny. Actually, the first time I watched this was in like my sports management class in high school. It's like a blow off elective. And I don't even know how she justified us watching this movie, but she was
They
like,
didn't. They're just like, it's a great movie. Go ahead and watch
she
it.
was just like, all right, we're gonna watch The Social Network. And I mean, I was on my phone like usual for like the
She's like,
first,
Andrew Garfield's so cute. Like,
yeah, yeah, she was such a chill teacher. I literally don't know why we were watching that movie. Shout out to Miss Polly. But yeah, we were watching the movie and like I was on my phone for like the first 30 minutes, but then there was a couple like one or two scenes that I was like, well, this is actually like really good. And I knew that I needed to watch that, like actually watch it later. So the first time I ever sat down and like actually watched the entire thing, because I think we only watched like an hour and 20 of the movie or whatever. But when I watched it all the way through, I was just like so impressed with like the characters. And at first I was just like, wow, this is such a great movie. But I'm so impressed at how, I mean, just similar to a lot of David Fincher's movies, it gets better every watch. Like there's just certain things where I'm like, oh wow, that's so impressive. Like that detail. Like I never noticed the whole cow when he talks about like women like cattle or whatever, and then immediately after it shows women essentially like cattle, like they're like it's them like being lined up to go into the club, them being put on like a bus. And there's so many things where I was like, oh my gosh, like he's showing that the entire environment just sees like these women as like essentially like cattle.
mm,
But yeah, really, I mean, amazing on like rewatch. It gets better every time.
for sure. Jordan, how about you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have said it better than Cameron. It gets better every time. The first time I do remember not liking it because I just got home from my mission and I watched it and I'm like, these this is like horrible. Like, like these
Their
college.
morals.
I know.
Jordan's clutching his pearls. Oh, oh,
I
so
just
offensive.
I just got such a gross feeling because that's kind of
Yes.
David
Crummy
Fincher
feeling.
loves that kind of a universe in which just like
Crummy, seedy.
it just everybody's backstabbing each other and everybody's kind of
Yes.
sleazy. And so I just got this gross feeling watching it. But now I absolutely love it and I love it even more every time I watch it.
It's like a not funny, sunny, always sunny in Philadelphia. Like everyone's just narcissistic. Everyone's trying to get
Yeah.
ahead. Everyone's self-serving. It's so interesting. So I watched this for the first time in the theater, and I gotta say I loved it. Even though I remember sitting down and the very beginning, I was actually with Maddie, my wife, on a date, and we were watching this movie. And I remember her leaning over to me like in the beginning, and she's like, "What is going on? Like this conversation is going so fast." And she's like, "I think I'm missing stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm totally lost too." But I was like trying to, I
Like, yeah, yeah.
understood. Yeah. I'm like, that's great. I'm sorry you're having trouble understanding this movie, but you need to not ruin this for me right now. Okay. No, but it was just like, it was firing off so quick. And I remember thinking, like, when was the last time I saw a movie like this snappy? Like, it's just, and that's why I think it benefits on a rewatch because you'll catch more of his motivations. I got a little gist of it, I think, watching it the first time, and I was like, oh, like this is like a drama between two friends. But actually, I think it's even more sinister and more upsetting when you figure out like Jesse Eisenberg, all he wanted to do was feel like he was in the club, like in the cool kids club. The idea that he created this whole thing, betrayed his best friends, was a dirtbag to the only girl that was willing to date this guy with probably Asperger's or something else. I don't know what he has. Maybe he's neurodivergent for all I care. But Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, he's an incredible genius, I guess, for coding. But then you're like, but it wasn't even his own idea. He stole it from somebody. Like, there's so much going on in this movie. I love it.
It's like The Onion.
You just peeled what, the glass onion?
Yeah, remember he stole everybody's idea.
He's Edward Norton. Edward Norton. Yes,
Your
his
favorite
character.
movie.
I freaking hate Glass Onion.
This
That
movie
movie's so
this movie
stupid.
reminds me so much of The Founder. Like, well, The Founder reminded me so much of this when I
Yes,
watched it. I was just like,
this is the corrupt
wow.
capitalist thing. Yes, this, but this one is elevated above the other ones, and I'll tell you why. One is the story. Like, I would even argue, like, he is not driven by money. Like, even Sean Parker, Justin Timberlake's character, he's like, you know, it's cooler than $1 million, $1 billion. And that doesn't, it doesn't phase him. It doesn't make him more excited to It doesn't make him more excited to work. He's just like, I don't even know what Facebook is yet. And I think he was thinking like, if I can hold on to this long enough, maybe I'll be one of the cool kids. That's all he was thinking. And at the very end, he finally reaches out to the girl that he treated so poorly, his ex, and he's like sending a friend request like on repeat. He's lost his friend. He's lost every meaningful relationship in his life. He's now worth more money than he could possibly spend in a lifetime, 2 lifetimes. His kids will be set for life if he ever settles down and finds a kid. Because the problem is he's not an
Finds a
yes, he
kid.
is. He actually is.
You're gonna be
That's the
my
character
kid.
arc. You're gonna be my
Settles
kid.
down and finds a kid. That's funny.
Settle down and finds a kid, like literally finds one. He'll create one in the metaverse.
No, I agree, Ty. When she said that, I'm like, no, he is. Like, she's like, you're
Yes.
trying so hard to be. I'm like, no, he
Yes.
is.
He isn't. But see, she hadn't seen the ugly side of him, where he goes home that night on his blog, says some awful things, then does face mash, which is just rating girls on hot like all the girls' pictures on the campus, and they're rating how hot they are, next to each other. And you're like, this chauvinist pig. And I love his character. He's so evil and sinister and weaselly.
Yeah, he
Jesse
publicized
Eisenberg does it so good.
locker room talk or bus talk.
Yeah,
Things
yeah,
that you say to
bathroom
your
wall,
best
yeah, the
friends that
bathroom
should never
stall
ever
wall,
leave that
yes.
room. He's like,
Yes.
"Yeah, let's just make this public for everyone to see."
It's like, oh, what is it missing? People, who are you dating? Who are you not dating? Are you single? People's interests. Like, oh my gosh, a profile bar. Which I thought was really funny that his friend comes to him and he's just like, hey, I was wondering, you're dating, a girl in your class. I was just wondering if she's single. Do you know anything? And he's like, yes. Yeah. And he runs all the way across campus in sandals and across the snow, and he types in like the code, and he's like, oh, this is great. And Eduardo's like, this is amazing. It's like, I know. I just like it. And then like I love like moments where on the window he wrote his algorithm and everything.
Yeah, if you'd known that, you would have known it was written right on my bedroom window.
It's great. I think everyone's doing really, really good. I think everyone's character is really memorable. Down to the real life cannibal Arnie Hammer, playing 2 people. I don't know why they just didn't get twins for this. He's like, I want this guy to be the twins and I want him to be both characters. So he's like, they CGI'd his face on the other one and he was acting, but it's just so nuts. Like, I don't know why they would go through the trouble of doing that, but I love it. Like, he's great. The Winklevoss twins played by Artie Hammer was really good. Like these pretentious, but they were like, we don't sue. We're gentlemen. We're gentlemen of this university. He's like, I want. It's like, I want to find him and break his neck. Like, I like their friend. He's like, hey, you know that guy? He just stole our code. He just stole our idea. And they're like rowing, and they're like, what? I love it. And then they go to the Harvard professor. He was my favorite character. He goes and he's like, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I failed to see where that's my problem. And he's like, get out of my office. He's like, what do you want me to do for you? He's like, well, someone stole our idea on campus grounds. And he's like, hey, what does he ask his secretary? He's like, please
punch me in the face.
I love that. Hey, punch me in the face, will you? Play me my violin or something. Find me my violin or something. He says the funniest things to this lady. It's so funny. Anyway, what a character. And everyone in this movie is doing so good.
He probably deals with the most pretentious people coming into his office.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's like, I even love what he said. He goes, why are there students here? And then he finds out, like, due to nepotism or whatever, like they're even having this meeting with the president of Harvard, because he's like, why do I have students in my office? It's like, oh, the Winklevoss. Okay. Like, so I have to sit and listen to you guys. And then he's not helpful at all. He's just like, get out of my office. It's amazing. It's not how you expect it to go. And anyway.
That scene kind of reminded me a little bit of The Menu, when if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't know.
Okay, but during the scene where he's like,
yeah.
Do you know who we are? Do you know who we work for?
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, I know exactly who you are and who you fetch and work for. It's like, that's why you're here. I just felt like that was the same energy. There's like, we're the Winklevoss.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's and cool. I liked it because there is an air where they were so hesitant to, well, at least one of the 2 twins was hesitant to bring it in the first place. They finally do, and they think they are building this case, and they're just swatted on the behind, Anyway, so I love this movie on rewatch. I think I love it more and more. It sits at my top 3 in my 100 movies of all time, which is weird because it's not a single punch thrown, at least that I can remember. There's a laptop smash, sadly enough, and there's a fake out punch. And to me, that's even more impactful than an actual punch thrown, because like he's like, I like standing next to you, you know.
Makes me look big.
Makes me look big. It's so good. That's so much that's such better dialogue and such a more character moment than like actually punching someone. I don't That's just like a really good movie with like clear motivation, good writing. I feel like everyone's forgetting this about movies. Like, this is what I love. This is a dialogue heavy movie where the relationships drive everything. They're the primary like reason of why the plot's happening is character motivations. So please, Hollywood, take note. David Fincher, Aaron Sorkin, I'm sure they're available. Reach out to them. They're very skilled at what they do. So
I love Aaron,
this movie. Absolutely love this
Sorkin
movie.
in an interview talked about, he said like that essentially the whole fact of it being about the social network and Facebook, he said, is kind of a backdrop. And he said he said this movie could have been written talking about the creation of the toaster or something like that. He was like a really advanced toaster.
Right. It's so secondary to what it is. Like, and I'm so glad it is, because this reminds me, they did the same thing with a movie called Jobs, and then there was a Steve Jobs movie, right? So there was one that Ashton Kutcher played that was like lovey-dovey, Steve Jobs love note, like, oh, I'm inspiring people and everything. And then like there's one that Danny Boyle directed that was like Steve Jobs. He's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell everyone in the auditorium that you failed to do your job if that computer does not say hello to the audience. He's like, and I will let every single programmer in this valley know that you failed to do your one.
It's scary how much Michael Fassbender looks like him too.
I know. And it was a far more compelling and interesting movie. 3 different presentations that he gives. Anyway, check out Jobs. We should review that movie sometime. It's right in this vein, and it's almost as dark. So that's
it's the same writer, Ty. They're both Aaron Sorkin.
You're kidding. You're blowing my mind right now. Danny Boyle directed. It is Aaron Sorkin that wrote it.
Yeah.
Yes, of course it is. So, what do you do exactly?
My favorite line in Jobs is when he's just like, statistically, he's like 33% of America could be or whatever. I'm just like,
yeah, he's not convinced it's his own daughter.
Yeah,
love it. Anyway, so that is so funny that's Aaron Sorkin writing that, because I was thinking the last movie I saw by Aaron Sorkin was Molly's Game, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, that one wasn't my favorite. It was interesting, but
it was interesting. It was good. And of course I rewatched
A Few Good Men,
which is so great. I love that. So
I think his other amazing film is the baseball one with
Moneyball.
Yeah.
That one 100%. It's a great one. That is up there too. Yes. Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. That's an amazing.
Who directs Moneyball though? I don't remember.
You can look that one up on your own. Yeah. Folks, I didn't get into it. We mentioned this movie came out in 2010, so I did see this in theaters.
Yeah, Ty's already shared like 10 reasons why he loves this movie.
I no, okay, so you have to understand, I'm just gonna gab about this movie because I love this movie so weirdly much. Like, because like this encapsulates everything that I love about a movie, where characters make choices that I understand, even if I don't agree with, and then the plot happens as a result of their motivations. I can't stress this enough. A lot of movies nowadays and TV, they're just like, oh, like this has to happen, therefore a character's gonna have to make this decision. But it's like, before you make that decision, can you like go back to the drawing room and be like it's almost like watching Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, like in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. They were like, they did write some pretty crazy plot lines, but they were like, at least they're consistent with the characters and the choices they would make. Walter White doesn't go to being a raving lunatic. He literally, in self-defense, kills someone, and then later on he prevents someone from dying to eventually becoming a killer. Like, it's gradual over the course of time, and you see that slow, and it's like, yeah, I know it takes time, it takes plotting, but like, you can do that. Just put a little labor of love in what you're doing, and that's apparent with Fincher and Sorkin. They obviously love doing this movie, and even if it's bleak and it's cynical and it's dark, even, it's so well told. I can't get over this movie. Like, I love this movie. I force everyone to watch it, and they may not like it, and I don't really care. It makes me like it more. I'm like, oh, I'm actually glad you don't like it, because now I like it even more. I don't know why. So I love this movie.
You probably are somebody who would go to Boston University.
All right, well, I'm going to say 2 things before.
It probably was a diversity hire, though. Can't remember. Oh, so mean.
I love how he demeans like a university like that. That's like a really high quality university. He's like,
or he's so
like,
mean.
You don't need to study. You go to BU.
His only friend, where he's like, I got into the Phoenix, and he's like, yeah, it probably was a diversity thing. It's like such a thing to say. He's like, what was the last thing he said to you before he went back into the Aloha party? And he's like, yeah, the Phoenix, that probably was a diversity thing. It's like, why do you think he said that? He's like, because do you think I was jealous that he got into Phoenix? Anyway, it's like, yes, you were. That's why you said it. You're like a jab at your friend. Like, you couldn't be happy for him. You were pissed because you didn't get invited and he did. He's in the club and you're not. And therefore, you wrote him out of Facebook. Wrote him out of his shares. It's
okay.
so
Wait,
crazy.
I want to share my 2 favorite things before Ty
Go
takes
for it.
every single one.
Yeah, I know.
So
I
I just want to say, like, I know we've already mentioned who wrote it, Aaron Sorkin. This reminds me of Prisoners, where they take essentially all the best people in Hollywood and have come together to make this movie, because you know, you have the best writer and the best director making a masterpiece. And just like Prisoners, you have, you know, the best director working with the best cinematographer, and just like, and it's just, I just love when,
And some okay actors.
and
Well, it's funny that you say that, Cameron, because when this came out in 2010, I mean, like, what had they done at that point? Like, Andrew Garfield, I think, may have been slated to do what by that
I thought
point?
he already did
maybe?
Spider-Man. Yeah.
But even then, it's like no one liked those Spider-Man movies. I mean, maybe you did when you first saw them, but those movies do not hold up. And he's not the worst part in them, mind you. But still,
He's
it's
the
like,
best part.
and
It was
Eisenberg.
Jamie Foxx's teeth straightening.
And
being
Jesse
electrocuted
Eisenberg,
by
like I
eels.
knew him in Zombieland, and so this was such a crazy twist to see him in this, because I think Zombieland was 2008, right? So I think I saw him in Zombieland. That's like the only other movie I'd seen him in. And then this one's like, he's dark, he's brooding, he's a chauvinist pig, and it's so well done. Justin Timberlake, I think of him as a joke. He reminds me of The Rock
It was
and Arnold
2009,
Schwarzenegger.
but
Okay, so yeah, so it was before though. So like Zombieland had existed, and then you have him coming into this film, and it's like very serious. And but Justin Timberlake, like I don't even think him as a good actor, but I'm like, this was a perfect character for him, because like he almost is playing like somehow.
What are you talking about, Ty?
Like
In Time
Justin
is
Timberlake.
a masterpiece.
Oh, they
It's
got
like, there
Cillian
it-
Murphy. They have Cillian Murphy. Come on, Ty.
Wait, what? They had Killer Murphy?
No,
What?
remember In Time was his masterpiece. What are you talking about,
Oh
Justin
my gosh,
Timberlake?
yeah, no, stop. He's like, Jessica, there's a snake in here. What? He's like, no, I'm sorry, there's not a snake. But what is this webpage on your computer? She's like, I could have fallen and died. Mind you, that's totally in reference to the movie we just did last, Final Destination. She's like, I could have died falling in the shower. She was totally referencing that movie. You cannot change my mind. She's referencing the
I definitely thought of Final Destination when
Of course we did. I'm pretty sure that's what she's referencing. And then he's like, how could you have died? And people that have seen that movie understand, and people that haven't don't understand. Anyway,
they referenced some really old movies like Towering Inferno. You know, he's like, you know, they shot Towering Inferno here, and I'm like, wow, that's an old movie. That's great.
Anyway, Jordan, continue with your.
Yeah, Cameron wants to move this along, dude. But this will never stop. This conversation about this movie will never stop. I love it.
Gushing won't stop. Yeah.
This is our time. This is our time up here. It's there. It was their time down there. It's our time up here. Justin Timberlake is playing himself. This is such a meta performance. He's like the pretentious douchebag, and he's playing a guy named Sean Parker that invented the Napster or whatever. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
they knew what they were doing with him. And he's like partying with these underage teens and stuff. He gets caught up. He's like, oh, they found me with coke, and oh my gosh.
I love how paranoid he is. He's like, do you think your friend sent the coke?
Do you think Eduardo sent them?
I just such a hard eye roll at all his comments. Oh my gosh.
He mentioned he was paranoid, and that definitely came back.
I'm not a psychiatrist. Yes, you noted that. Yeah, the dialogue in this movie is amazing. Like, obviously, what do we expect from Aaron Sorkin?
I know there's not even a lot of one-liners. It's like giant conversations.
But yeah, I just love this film so much. That's all I gotta say. Cameron.
All right.
Cameron, your 2 favorite things.
My favorite thing is I just definitely think the relationship between Zuckerberg and what's his name? Why is my brain blanking? And what's his name, bro? Help me out.
Wait, sorry, who? Sorry, what are we talking about? Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Justin Timberlake.
Yes, Andrew Garfield's character. What's his name?
Eduardo Saverin.
Eduardo, yeah. I just love their relationship and how it's portrayed in this movie, and I love how we learned so little about Eduardo, and it kind of shows you the type of relationship he had with Mark Zuckerberg, because also every single scene that he has with him is either there are lawyers there like making their conversation, or it's Mark Zuckerberg asking something transactional of Andrew Garfield. So there's not a single time in the entire movie where they just like they're supposedly best friends, and there's not a single time where they just kind of like, oh, like, hey, how's it going? Like, oh, sorry, we broke up with the girlfriend. What's going on? Every single time they talk, it's always Andrew Garfield having to do something for Zuckerberg.
Oh
And I
yeah,
just think
he definitely uses and abuses him. Yes,
and I just think that's so
yeah.
interesting to like that was something I never noticed in the beginning. At first I was kind of like, oh dang, like their relationship kind of deteriorated. But I feel like it was a thing that I don't think Andrew Garfield like realized in the beginning that he was just like almost a tool for
using him.
Zuckerberg. Yeah. Zuckerberg just saw him as a means to an end. He was just like, oh, this dude has money, he's successful, obviously, he's intelligent. And he's just like, and he's like, oh, he can put up with my crap. I'm just going to use this dude to fulfill all my needs. And then the moment I'm done with the usefulness of him, like, it's whatever.
Yeah, and he's like the kindest character to everyone in the
Yeah.
movie.
Which I think
Even
is
his girlfriend who sets his apartment on fire or, burns it down. It's like, what is wrong with you?
what he gets from dating the chick from A Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. So
I thought she was in the High School Musical. Is that not the same one? I guess it was Sweet Life. I don't remember. She's just the
Life.
Disney chick. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, but that's why I just think it makes it so meaningful and powerful. The scene where he smashes the laptop is just because like it just shows I feel like he kind of comes to a realization that like you didn't want me for anything but like
He even signed. Yeah, he even signed documents that he assumed that he and his friend were on good terms again. He's sorry that he froze the company accounts, and he's like, "Your stunt almost cost us, a business deal or whatever." But in the end, he was like, "I did it because I was losing you to Sean Parker's character, right, Justin Timberlake." And Andrew Garfield's motivations are like so clear. Like, this is a kid that wants acceptance, just like Jesse Eisenberg. They're kind of nerdy guys, but they like get in with some cool group, like he with the Phoenix, and then Mark Zuckerberg creating Facebook, and then he finds Sean Parker and replaces Eduardo. He's like the antithesis of him, and that's why I love that they butt heads so well.
I also think it's really
good.
cool how like what's his name? Andrew Garfield sees right through Justin Timberlake, and he just sees how much
it's
of a
like
fraud.
it's all show. It's a facade.
Yeah, and that's what I love. He tries to warn.
Game.
He tries to warn Jesse Eisenberg. He's just like, dude, this dude only like he doesn't actually care like about you and what's going on. And then he's just like, oh, he's like, don't get jealous because you're getting left behind. I'm just like,
you need to come out to California. I love when he shows up to California. He's like, oh, that is like, you moved up to California. He's like, oh, right. I don't remember what he says. He's like, that's so cool, and you're like this is where it's all happening, Anyway.
Yeah, no, and so I just think that relationship is super cool, and just how he sees, like, and it isn't until later that I think Mark recognizes, like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot for the only dude who actually was somewhat interested in my well-being. I got kind of screwed over.
Yeah, you had like serial or animal cruelty, abusal, forced cannibalism. I don't know. You have a small group of friends that both are quite, flawed, but I definitely would think Eduardo in the long run could have been a more meaningful friendship than Sean Parker's was.
Yeah, and then also I kind of feel like my second favorite thing is just I love the arc of this. It shows very similar to, in my opinion, Wolf of Wall Street. It just kind of shows how cool, oh, look how amazing, extravagant this life would be to be this cool, be this smart. But then also like at the end of the movie, you kind of get that feeling like, I feel like he's even more miserable than I am sitting in my living room. You're like, yes, I'm sitting in my living room with like $800 on my bank account, and I think I'm overall happier than this man with millions of dollars. And that's kind of the vibe I got from
billions, Garen.
Billion with a B.
And that's just kind of, I think, is such a cool message to. It's like it's a perfect show don't tell theme. Is that like money doesn't bring happiness, or like that wealth, like it's a fleeting feeling that like they're just chasing that, and then you kind of see like he's attained everything financially or successful wise a man could want to ever achieve, both Wolf of Wall Street and this, and you just see him refreshing that page.
Maybe the next Bill Gates is in the audience. Dude, who was the speaker?
I didn't even know who the guy was.
Gates.
That was Bill Gates.
Oh shoot! Now I feel like such an idiot, dude. Love it. Like, that makes so much more sense now.
But like, I just think things like that just make it so, I think, so impressive from like David Fincher and Sorkin, just to be able to show you like, oh, this is like, it was really cool at the moment, but then it's like at the end of the day, they're still just miserable people who struggle with like and want to feel like love and care.
Well, I love it that he's using the Facebook tool that he spent all this time creating and stole from someone just to fit in, and he's using that same device to finally reach out to the lady that he his ex.
Have his
And
first moment of
it's
humanity
so
and
but it's
humility.
still so pathetic. It's
Yeah.
so and that's so perfect because he's sitting there, he's like keeps sending a friend request, or he like keeps updating, refreshing to see if she's accepted his
Well,
friend request, and he'll just sit there for
and
like, I'm
I
like,
even
that's
love
such a
that.
perfect ending.
I even love that he tried to ask Ann Perkins on a date. Like, I love that it just shows how desperate he is and how she's just like, oh, sorry, like confidentiality, and just like, I gotta go home. Like, you just see like, oh my gosh, this dude has all the money in the world, and at the end of the day, he's sad he's going home alone. Like, that's all he really like. The only thing that he's focused on is like, I'm alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get to Grant's two favorite things. So,
yeah, I don't know. Just this movie makes me never ever want to start my own company if I have like the next big thing, you know, because it's like it's so cutthroat and just like I don't know. It reminds me of Silicon Valley too. Just like I never want to like just being nerdy like I am. Like I would be whipped in the business world.
Grant
Like if
would
I
be
was trying to start
me.
my own company,
I
I
would
would
be
what?
I would be his Andrew Garfield or his Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. So, but this movie's like just. I mean, you guys have gushed about it already a lot, but yeah, it's just really good, really well done, great actors.
You mean Ty?
Yeah, with side notes of you guys.
Yeah. I think Andrew Garfield's performance is fantastic, along with Jesse Eisenberg. I saw Honest Trailers was like, and Jesse Eisenberg playing himself. And I was just like, yeah, it's kind of accurate. Um, and it's funny, I always would get Michael Cera and Jesse Eisenberg mixed up.
I know.
Like, it wasn't until this movie that I was like, okay, yeah, now I can tell the difference, because they
Who's
always look
Michael
like
Cera?
Arrested Development.
or Super Bad, or
Oh,
Scott
Scott
Pilgrim
Pilgrim.
versus the World. Yeah,
Okay, you used to get mixed up. That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely recommend the movie.
Yeah. I think I kind of, like you guys have mentioned, the dialogue. I was just so impressed at how it kind of reminded me a lot of almost like a Taika Waititi film, of just like so quick, and the only difference is like it's not necessarily like witty. They're not trying to be funny, but like I just think
Well,
it's
it is very funny though.
but
So.
it is, yeah. But like I love the scenes with the lawyers. Just like you just see, for me, it just shows it's a really good
it's raining
representation.
outside. Excuse me, do I not deserve your full attention? No, you deserve the minimum amount, because not a single one of you people in this room could program anything that I have done. It's like, and he's so pompous, that jerk. That's why
I created Facebook.
Like, not a single one of you guys he could wrap your head around. Like, he's so mean. He's so dumb. He's so Weasley too. Like, what a stupid thing to say. He's like, you're being sued, and he's all like touting how great he is and his accomplishment. It's so good. It just makes him seem so small. Like, that's the moment he decides to be pretentious. Like when he's in front of the board, he's like, you're welcome, or whatever. Remember, he's like, you had a breach of campus security, and he's like, you're welcome. I think I pointed out some pretty nasty flaws, and he's like, you feel no remorse for the fact that he's like that you've done this, and he's like, you should all be thanking me, and so arrogant, so arrogant. Just want to punch him in his little face. So anyway, keep your thought, Cameron. I wanted to interrupt because I was making a point. That's what he does. He cuts him off. He's like, you don't think I deserve your attention? No, you deserve the minimum. Or what he even says, he goes, I, under penalty of perjury, he's like, I can't lie, so therefore I am required to say no. Because he feels he doesn't deserve his attention. He's such a I just love it. Anyway, pardon my language. He is. I don't, pardon my language. He is. I'm describing exactly what it is. So watch this movie. Gosh, the performances are so good. The writing's good. The direction. Cameron, anything else you want to throw out?
Wait, no, Cameron.
Easy.
What was I gonna say?
We made a lot of jokes too when we first started this podcast about like Mark Zuckerberging each other like out of the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you Mark Zuckerberging me right
Yes.
now?
Yes. Are you? Yeah. Are you? Yes. We've literally had these same conversations. Like
Yeah, my stock shares have gone
my
down.
stock shares has gone down. Yes. You're not part of the company. You're just a guest. You're not one of the co-hosts or
Exactly.
anyway. It's such a crazy world. Yo, what up, Cameron? What else? What else? Finish out your thought.
I already told you I don't remember what it was.
Oh, that's too bad.
So Ty's like, I've already said everything, but don't you want to say something, Cameron?
Well, there's a great moment too. I really love it when the Winklevoss, like they're like trying to in other areas of their life, they're trying to get ahead. Like they do the whole rowing thing to the Hall of the Mountain King or whatever, and they're rowing as fast as they can, and they lose to Germany or Switzerland or something like that. And you almost feel bad for them. It's like
Well,
now
and I
they're getting
love
second,
at the
and they're
very
like,
end, Ty, when in the credits it says they made it 6th place. It's just another like slam in their face, like
yeah, they're
you,
like
you made it in
they
6th
placed
place. Like
Yeah.
you didn't get
I
Facebook.
know, and it almost seems like those end credits were written by Mark Zuckerberg. He's like, they're still not winning. They're
Well, I
still
think you
not.
said like this movie, I'm sure he loves it because it puts him in this like, oh yeah, look how amazing I am. Like,
I wonder about that
oh really?
because I
You
think
think
no,
it
because
puts
there's two ways you can read this film. I think a lot of people on its surface level might be like, "Oh, it's heartbreaking," but it's like he is so pretentious and so arrogant. Like I
Yeah.
know that he says some cool like ownage, but it's like it's almost like you see him how miserable at the end he is, and you're like, was it all worth it? You have no friends, you have no one. Like you're wealthy, you're famous, you're all the things, and your life still freaking sucks. You still wear
Yeah,
flip
but at the
flops.
same time, it feels like at the same time, like the Tinder swindler, like it has both effects, I think, positive and negative. Like it
Yeah.
gives him more attention, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
but at the
More
same time, like
notoriety,
still
and yet,
exposes
but
him.
it's like, yeah, it
Exposes
is
him
the
to his
creator of one of
enemies,
the
Grant, who are
biggest tech
after him.
platforms of all
My
time.
enemies are after me.
That's so funny to hear you guys talk about Tinder swindler. I did watch that, dude. That was
such a good
crazy.
one.
Dude, those
Yeah.
poor women, man, getting swindled out of so much freaking money. So much money, dude. Anyway. It's great.
You could
But
say
it's
he is an entrepreneur and that his business is scamming.
scamming women.
His business is Tinder.
Dude, for sure. Gosh, how did you get away with that, dude? Just one lie
Amazing.
after the other. How could
I
you
don't.
keep that
Yeah.
going?
See,
It's like it's just easier to be honest, to
I'm
do
so-
an honest
I'm
job.
so interested. I would want to know if you could get him in a room with like guaranteed no, like essentially off the books, no recording anything. I wonder if he would admit it. Like, oh yeah, these people are so dumb. I'm so good at scamming him. Or if like he just is so invested in his character, like I don't know, like my enemies truly are after me. Like I wonder what it would take for him to break character and be like, oh no, yeah, these people are idiots, dude. It's so easy to get money from these girls.
Well, dude, I bet to his friends he probably was every day. He's like, I can't believe I'm swindling these people out of their money, dude. It's like this, but there is like a narcissism complex where it's like they don't see anything that they're doing is wrong because they believe that everyone in this world is like to service them, like to help them get ahead. They really believe that. They're like, I am a better judge of how you should spend your money. Therefore, like it's like the most arrogant thing. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But like there are people like this that exist, you know.
I know how to spend it better. Wolf of Wall Street.
And I almost feel like I understand it because everyone gave me an emotional score or an emotional intelligence quiz or exam. Jordan, you said I'm not very empathetic. Mom, dad said I wasn't. They even asked like when they were grading me, they're like, "Are you going to get graded on this if we're like honest?" I'm like, no, like it doesn't matter what you rate me as, just be honest. And so they were. Everyone says I'm not very empathetic, and I think about how often I interrupt people and I'm mean to people and I don't care about their feelings. I'm like, yeah, I guess I do have some narcissism boiled in, but like I've grown to be more
But then
conscious
again,
and more
I'm so
aware.
amazing, so it doesn't really matter.
But I'm so amazing, and they're all wrong. So yeah. So it now
They're all
empowers
just
me and it
pawns in my
emboldens
game
me.
of chess.
I'm even more convinced that I'm right. But no, it like the sheer hubris of these people that would be like the, that scene between him and the lawyer, the suing him for the Facebook rights, Eduardo's lawyer, and he's just like, you don't think I deserve your attention. I just can't think of anything more like petty than like getting upset with the lawyer because he's like, I'd rather be back coding, right? Or whatever. But like to not be cordial and get this over with so you can go back to doing the thing you love. He's like, he's acting like it's so beneath him. And that's just so great. Like, what an amazing character. Like one that you actually love to hate. The protagonist of this movie is someone that I don't like. And I love this movie and I actually like his character. And yet I actually don't like him. Isn't that weird? This is like the only movie that's ever done that because I understand him. I'm not saying I agree with him, but that like I'm like, yeah, he wanted to be accepted.
Yeah,
He was a
only
nerd.
movie's a
I know
bit of a
plenty of nerds.
That's a
in
big
school.
statement, Ty.
Joker.
What's that?
You said that he's the only person that you understand, and I disagree with that. There's plenty of good
Joker,
villains.
are you kidding me?
Oh yes, but they're like fewer and fewer these days. I guess
Yes,
is my point. Yeah,
yes, I agree with that.
Yes, I do.
Same thing
Yeah,
with,
like
same
there's.
thing, I don't know if
I wouldn't say Joker though. I never got him kicking the trash, dude. Kicking the trash
Are
in
you
the
kidding
trash.
me? Dude, it is so sad to see him just descend into like a sadness that turns violent.
I connect with the Joker, Cameron. I get it.
You guys
Yeah.
are it's because you guys are psychopaths. I am a
As
normal
you,
narcissist.
narcissist.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I relate to
So-
this Eisenberg.
The
Yeah,
most relatable
yeah.
character of all is Lou Bloom from Nightcrawler. Don't you guys relate, right?
I use this bike to win the Tour de Mexico. It's not a thing. This bike has 18 gears. It's like all this made up
Yeah,
nonsense.
he's like
Dude.
the highest gears a bike can have is 8.
Yeah. Yeah, he says 12 or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he's
so
like,
good.
I'll give you
I love
800 for it. He's like 6. Okay, deal.
Yeah, where
Oh,
was
gosh.
Jordan Belford when those two would have been like
Oh man.
worked hand in hand? If
Sell
they
me this pen. Yeah. I love it, dude.
And then he starts
Sell me.
strangling
I'm
him.
CEO. I'm CEO. B. Yeah, the freaking business cards. So
Yeah, does
good.
that'd be the trifecta business partnership. You have Lewis Bloom, Jordan Belfort, and Mark Zuckerberg.
And I love it how every milestone that the company was making, there was a chip falling away. Like the time that they made the 1 million subscribers or patrons using Facebook was like the biggest falling out. And it was supposed to be this big night of celebration. Every time he was getting ahead, he was losing his friend Eduardo. And I like what you said, Cameron, about maybe never seeing their relationship blossom. We just kind of are meant to assume that they had a relationship. And I like to think that maybe when they were younger and they didn't care about these things, like they had a lot in common and they were actually good friends. But you know what?
Were they childhood friends?
They probably met at school. That would be my guess.
Because I'm just like, they probably were just like class buddies,
Right.
And then to go, yeah, I don't know, crazy.
And yet another one's leaving my lecture. It's okay, Mr. Zuckerberg. Not everyone's a brilliant. And he's like, oh, the quantum 3453, and he leaves. And he's like, that is correct. Okay. He thought he like outsmarted him, or the guy couldn't take it. He just gets up and leaves his class.
I know. Well, that's so funny.
That is correct.
That reminds me of Good Will Hunting when they tell him to like,
Yeah.
hey janitor, get out of there. Don't be
Yeah.
touching our pristine like math problems. I'm like,
I just want to throw out here, I like this movie
crummy poop
so
hands on
much
it?
incredibly more than Good Will Hunting, though. I mean, sorry.
you like this movie so much more than Good Will Hunting?
I like it so much more. I do love Robin Williams, though. He like saves Good Will Hunting, because without Robin Williams, you do not have a Good Will Hunting movie. You have Matt Damon, who believes he's the best thing since like you have Matt Damon playing Justin Timberlake. He's like, I'm so smart, I'm so wicked smart, and everyone else here is trying to recruit me into the best job in the world. And
My favorite person in
So
that
annoying.
movie is Casey Affleck, dude. He literally is just acting like a brother. That's all his role is. He's like, "Shut the fuck, give me my burger." He's like, "I'll give you your dang burger when I'm sick." It's like, how do I get that role, dude? I can play a jerk freaking boss
love it.
brother any day of the week.
I love it.
And then Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck just literally acting like brothers. I'm like, it's just like Donnie Darko with the Gyllenhaal siblings
Yeah.
just being rude to each other. I'm like, you guys getting paid for this? I'm like, I do this for free.
They probably improvised that stuff too. It just probably came out on set. And they're like, it's
Yeah, they're
beautiful.
just like, idiot. I do a suck up.
Oh gosh, guys, do you have any last minute or quotes or nitpicks with this movie? I guess I would just throw out, there were a few nitpicks. One is they said like how much the company was worth at the end of the movie, and it's like a fraction of what it's like over 34 billion now, or
I know
100 and
it's
something
so
billion.
much more now.
It's so stupid money, much more money. And the fact that he's gotten to like the Congress and he's been held to testify in front of like I'm like, dude, I want a sequel to this movie. I want it to continue. And like, because I almost feel like the world is worse off
Matt
because of
Damon plays.
Facebook. I really believe that. I really feel like he created something to be in the club, and he created something that's like radicalized and demonized everyone else like that disagrees with you or has a differing opinion from you. It's so crazy, and I love it. Like, I love that he's created something. I don't love it, but it's almost like poetic justice that this frustrated, warped, confusing teen, or not teen, I don't know how old he was when he created all this, but in college created something that's potentially doing more harm for the world than good.
I would say my only nitpick for this movie is
Yeah.
the only potential better casting for Justin Timberlake's character could
Oh.
have been Jared Leto, but
Yes, I will agree with
if
you
it
there.
was
I
Jared
think
Leto, I can
Justin
just hear him
Timberlake
saying,
or Jared Leto.
"Drop the just Facebook
That's
cleaner."
Facebook. But
I'm like,
he'd
I
be
could
like
see
so
Jared
stoked.
Leto just
He'd be doing
absolutely-
like a Johnny Depp impression. Drop the. I can't do a Jared Leto impression, dude. Oh man.
Morbius, our king.
I can just think of him being shot up in Lord of War. You get a scene where he gets shot up by the cops at the end. He's like,
Anyway, but definitely do recommend.
I cannot recommend this movie enough. And if you don't like it, it makes me love it more. So I just want you to think about that, listener.
It's funny too that people like younger generation like, oh, Facebook's for old people. I'm like, oh
Yes.
really? I guess I'm old.
Yeah, I know I have a Facebook account. I've loved it for what was it? The Facebook garage sale. Love selling all my junk. That's amazing. And that's it.
Well, I
I
remember
no longer
though,
have videos and pictures of me. I'm taking them all down. I think
but don't
it's
you
so
remember in
disturbing.
high school when it like first came out? It was such a like an interesting thing. Like people are like passing it
Oh,
around.
dude,
You're like, oh
yes. My friends created it for me because I was like, I don't know how this works, but
Yeah.
like they're more tech savvy than I was. They created, and it's so funny to think that this was like an exclusive thing that only like the intellectuals at Harvard, the intellectuals at Yale, like all these universities, prestigious universities, they were the only ones that were allowed in. And
Yeah,
I
at
love
first.
that. It was all about exclusivity, is what
Yeah.
it was. And now it's not cool anymore because your grandma can get on, you know? And like, you know, Stan, your grandma poked you. Poke her back, Stan.
Yeah.
Freaking
Well,
South Park
it's
did
just
it
funny
best.
because like, I mean, like I love that scene. She's like, why does your relationship status say single?
Look, I don't know how to change it. You mean to tell me that one of the CEOs or one of the creators of Facebook doesn't know how to change his profile status? He's like,
But-
I
but-
don't.
But when it first like came out and stuff, like, I mean, I wasn't a part of that first group, but then when it started to come out
Jordan's
for
like,
other people-
well, I
I was
personally
at
got an invite
Yale.
from
But-
Mark Zuckerberg. I'm one of his 8 friends on Facebook.
but like new things started to happen. Like I mean, a girl broke up with me through Facebook. Like it just said you are no longer in a relationship, and then I'm like, what? And I click on her page, and she's with another guy, and there's pictures of him, and I'm like, what?
Jordan's like,
What
and
is
that was
this
the last
trash?
day I ever used
That moved
Facebook.
fast.
She moved fast. The only other nitpick, for some reason, the cold breath, it bothers me on rewatch. I don't know why.
Oh, that's
It's
because
so minor.
Quentin Tarantino pointed it out, and that's why you're
Did he
saying
really?
that. Yeah.
Well, see, I wouldn't know that, but like
Oh.
I'm sure I'm not the first to point it out either. Like I said, it's a nitpick. I don't even want to spend any more time on it, but I'm almost like I feel like they could have either done it better or just done without it. Like you almost don't need it, but I don't know. He was like, it's cold, and I'm
David
like,
Fincher, I mean, he's always pushing like the most like newest in technology.
yes.
Like
and,
he
and
was
it's
the
so
first
subtle,
in Zodiac.
like the Winklevoss twins. It's like he didn't need to do this. He was doing motion capture on one of the guy's face.
Yeah.
Like, and Arnie Hammer was like CGI'd on the other twin, and you're like, why? Just
It's the
get
same
a
guy that did
stand-in.
Benjamin Button types.
It's just so
Not one
strange
of-
that he was
not
like,
one of his
he's doing innovation, but also not like rubbing it in your face, where he's like, hey, you should see it because it's a spectacle. James Cameron's like, you should watch it because then you can get depression and how bleak and ugly our real world is and wish you could live in Pandora and tie your braid to an animal and dominate them and make them your slave. You know, like there's nothing more rewarding than that. Like people actually struggling with depression after watching Avatar,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't get it, but some people did. And then like pushing the technology.
Did you watch
like, other
Avatar yet,
technology.
Ty?
Freaking Scorsese, he's like, I'm getting Robert De Niro and Al Pacino to come back and Joe Pesci to act in this movie. I'm like, they're all hobbling around like they're their age, but they're all CGI to look younger. So it's like, it's even more upsetting to watch someone hobble around when they're young. But with a young de-aged face, but they're still moving like they're 90. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
Did
off-putting.
you watch Avatar Ty yet? The new one?
No, I haven't seen Avatar. I
Okay.
went and saw
Grant.
M3 before I even saw
That's right.
freaking Avatar 2, dude.
Yeah, well, Grant and I will talk about that. We already recommended this movie, Ty. I'm assuming you do.
Oh, 100%. You
He's
guys
so
need to
Oh,
watch it.
I don't know if I'm sure if Ty likes this movie or not. I need
finally
more
did it.
affirmation.
I was nervous to review this movie because it's like I don't know how to talk about why I like it so much. Like I don't
You don't
like
know how to
I think
talk?
you did a good job.
Did I go good? Did I make my case? Okay, I hope I did. I love this movie,
Pass
guys.
the test, Ty. You can
Watch
talk.
this movie. I passed. I need your code though. I need your blessing.
Should we have Cameron and Grant go first for what they've seen lately before
Yeah,
Ty
hit us
talks
up,
about
guys.
coherence? Because Ty talked to me about coherence for like an hour the other day.
Yes, guys. I need it real quick. I need to ask you something about
No.
coherence.
No,
Oh,
I'm
wait.
first.
I
Okay,
can't.
so
Stop,
I just
stop.
watched
We have
a
to go
New
first.
Girl. I just watched New Girl a couple episodes. I also watched the John Tucker Must Die with Grant, which he'll talk a little bit more about. I was really surprised. I liked it a lot more on the rewatch. At first, I went into it I don't think I enjoyed it as much that first viewing with you, Jordan, because you were like, "This is right up your alley. You're gonna love it so much." And so I kind of came in with really high expectations, and so I went into it. I gave it a 6. I still enjoyed it, but then rewatching it, I was like, I didn't realize how cheesy it was, and that's what I think it made me enjoy it because I was expecting more of a serious kind of
Oh
rom-com,
no.
but it's
Cameron thought like John Tucker
it's
Must
almost
Die
like
was like Kill Bill or something like that.
it's almost like scary movie humor where it's just like
Yeah.
you're kind of like, oh, that's hilarious. Where he's got like a new girl every single time, whenever he's like, hey baby, like it leans into that cheese where I was like,
Yeah.
this is so funny. And then
My favorite thing is the idea that if you're popular in school, you walk down the hallway and you high five every single guy you walk by.
Yeah, dude, that's popularity, dude.
and
That's
then
when you've
his-
achieved ultimate
his
status when you're high
his
fiving
front
people.
flip dunk when he has the panties on. I was almost shedding tears, bro. That's so fun. And then every single basketball player is wearing
funny.
panties the wrong way, and he's like, it's like a hammock for your balls.
It's been too long
then-
since I've seen that. That movie
and
is
then
funny.
I rewatched The Signal first time I ever rewatched it.
It doesn't hold up.
It's still really good and really fun.
It's not as
Yeah,
good.
Ty.
I might have been a little aggressive putting it in my top 100.
Thank you. The
But
movie's
it's-
nonsensical. I mean, it's beautiful to look at. It's a music
still
video.
really good.
It's
No,
it's a full-length music video. Thank you.
it's still really good.
It's fun.
I still would give it maybe
It's
8 or
fun.
9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might have to fall out of my top 100.
Thank you. It's just no substance. It's like watching a really beautiful music video, and there's nothing wrong with that. I watch music videos all the time.
I disagree. I think it's more than that, but
And that first viewing, dude, when she gets picked up,
it's so much more, Jordan.
oh,
What
it
does
is.
it
It's
mean?
not 300. It's not a Zack Snyder movie.
I haven't rewatched 300. I fell asleep the first time I tried to watch
you
it.
did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
And that's fine because there's just no substance to it. That's just not my movie. My movie is Social Network. I want characters, motivations.
Wait, is it? Wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Wait.
And guess what?
And,
Not a single punch was thrown, and I felt like there was freaking daggers being
And
placed
then
in this movie. You know?
on my watch list
Daggers.
is I kind of want to rewatch Turner and Hooch. I used to love it as a kid. I haven't seen it in a while.
With that Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
dog.
It's Tom Hanks and some mutt.
Some mutt that has an IMDb profile. It's amazing. And I was like, oh,
I'm not gonna lie, that movie does not hold up except Tom Hanks losing his shiz that
Oh my
first night
gosh,
when it's parking.
so funny.
What?
And when he's
Tom
like
Hanks is
destroyed the
wild.
house. I love how much.
And when he gets angry at his girlfriend, he's like, "Oh, jeez!" And he grabs the pots and pans and he clangs them together. It's so nonsensical, but those are the two good parts of the movie. That's it. That is it.
I think he plays such a good like angry character. Like him in Money Pit is so funny too. Just him like,
Dude, watch the burp. Cameron, watch the burbs again when he freaks out. He's
Oh,
like, "Oh,
the
jeez,
Burbs.
they're gonna think that I wrote it. They're gonna suspect me." You need to watch the freak out
The
that he
Burbs,
has
so
with
good.
Art in the backyard. It is
and
peak
then
Tom Hanks, dude.
I have to watch Sherlock Jr. for my film class. It's a 1924. I think it's a silent film. It's like a it's like a comedy
Huh.
about. It's essentially.
Hey Cameron, do you get extra credit for being on a movie podcast for film school?
No,
I guess I
but-
don't teach you that at business school. Ryan started the fire. They don't teach you how to operate a toaster oven in business school.
And then also one that's on my watch list that is like I've seen snippets of, but never sat down and watched the full movie. Is White Chicks. I didn't know it was the same two guys from Scary Movie. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
The Wayans brothers, yeah,
I'm
dude.
I'm interested to see how they can keep it PG-13 though.
Dude, it
because
is
that-
a funny movie, dude.
Yeah.
I'll sum it up in this scene where they play that, I would walk 1,000 miles or whatever song. Oh,
The 500 miles.
dude, when all the girls are singing, I cry laughing so hard. It is so funny. And then Old Spice man, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name.
Oh,
Freddie Cruz? No, Freddie.
Oh,
Terry
Ted Cruz.
Terry Crews. Terry Crews. Yes.
Terry.
Terry Crews. He is a gift.
It's like Freddy Krueger.
You mean to tell me that you're not a woman? I know. White?
I've seen that scene.
The funniest line in the whole movie, dude.
It
That
is a funny
delivery.
line.
You mean to tell me that you're not a man or a woman? I know. White? He's surprised. Oh my gosh, it's so funny, dude. Oh my gosh, he's the best part of that movie, dude. Terry
He
Crews, I
is.
love
And
him.
Grant, what about you?
Uh,
I also
We've
watched
been-
the Harley Quinn with Grant, which is really fun.
yeah. Yeah, there's some funny parts in that. It's a good show.
You're a good cop, Jim.
Hey, no naughty words, Cameron. No naughty words. This
In the
is a
Bible.
no naughty words
In the
podcast.
Bible.
And then I watched The Sandlot
Hello
with
there.
Elise. I don't know if I mentioned that last podcast or
The
not.
Sandlot. I love that movie.
Which she had
Mhm,
never
classic.
seen.
She had never seen it before, so that was fun.
You
She's
bought for
killing
apples in the
small
toilet and you like it.
Wendy Peppercorn.
Well, because it was so funny, because like
Fart sniffer,
the-
fart smeller.
like You're Killing Me Smalls scene came out. She's like, "Oh, that's where that's from." I was like,
You're killing me,
"Yep."
Smalls. Yes. How can I
Welcome
have
to
some more if I
society.
haven't had anything yet? You're killing me, Smalls. Dude, we need to do The Sandlot. That is an amazing
That's a
movie.
classic.
It's like an
Yeah,
American
it's a
movie.
classic. Mhm. And then
Darth
Mom and
Vader.
I.
Oh.
Oh, Avatar. Yeah, it's like
Dude.
the funniest thing about the whole experience of watching Avatar was Jordan was like, I completely turned off my brain and I enjoyed it.
I did because
Dude, if that's what's required to see like this huge
Well, he was
movie,
like, he's like, if I thought too much, I would have hated it. I was like, okay.
if I would have put my
Like
thinking
for
cap
me,
on,
for
I
me,
would have hated
it was a great like world building and
Is it world
visually
building if
amazing.
if it took 2.5 hours the movie before to build for another 2.5 hour movie?
it's more like
Well,
three
just
and a
like
half hours.
it goes to a
Cameron.
new part of the planet, and like it's like it's an enjoyable first like one time watch. I
After
think.
the fact, Grant's like, my only nitpick with the movie is now I contemplate suicide every night because the world is so bleak and grim, and I wish it was more beautiful like Pandora.
I
That's
wish
the
you
only
wrote
nitpick,
Yes.
though. Other than that, it actually gave me
exactly.
depression, clinical
Yeah, exactly.
diagnosis. Yes. So, goodness
Then-
gracious, folks.
Mom and I and Elise have been watching, or we've been like binging the Harry Potter movies, so that's been
Tell
fun.
me, hate you.
I
It's
do
so
like.
funny.
I watched the fifth one. It's still good. It's like the
Yeah,
It's one
well,
of the
it's
better
so
Harry
funny
Potter
how
movies.
like just young actors like
3,
and Harry
5.
like Harry trying to act serious or angry, just his facial expressions are so
Dude,
funny.
Harry Potter 3. He was their friend. It's great. It's
I-
Like the twitching and stuff is so funny.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Yes. And I love that
Mhm.
clip Ty you sent of Mr. Dursley throwing the letters in the fire.
Dude, so I watched 1 and 5. I didn't watch any of the others, so like they're fresh in my mind. But dude, Vernon Dursley, watching this first one,
Stand
I
up
was like,
performance.
it almost feels like a Sam Raimi. Like it's
Yeah.
so quirky, it's whimsical, it's got so much charm, and
Mhm.
all those actors are bringing 110%. Like, dude, when he spots Harry does the double take at the fireplace, he's like, oh yeah.
Why is it almost
so
with the
much pleasure in
fireplace?
burning his invitation to Hogwarts?
I'm like,
So good, dude. We need to review the
like
Harry
what is
Potter
this
movies.
rated?
Dude, I know.
And I
We're
like
dying
quote
away.
like 40% of the movie as I'm watching it. It's funny.
I know as it's happening. Some
a
of
good
those
time.
sound bites are so unforgettable, dude.
Babes that
Oh,
never
yeah.
do.
Sorry about that.
Dude,
Yeah,
no.
Professor Dumbledore, sir. Like I know everything from that movie, dude. Like every line,
Yeah.
every quip. It's unforgettable. You've got dirt on your nose, just there.
Did you know?
Did you know? Ron's like, his mouth is full of like gummies or something.
Speaking
So
of
good, dude.
Sam Raimi, I
Yeah.
watched The Dark Man and I loved it. It's so
Dark
good.
Man.
I sent you guys clips, but nobody laughed or commented, so I'm assuming you didn't watch it.
Which clips were
Were they
which ones were
the
they?
death
Yeah.
ones? You're like,
Yeah.
this is a great death.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
Okay.
Okay.
I always
No.
watch the
Oh,
clips
okay.
that you send, but some of them are more memorable than others. I'm trying to remember what.
You didn't watch
did
it,
he-
but because when he exploded, he's like flying out of the building. He's like, "Wah!"
Oh no, I did.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes. When he gets launched out, there's a hilarious soundbite of where he's like, yeah, he like flies past the mic. It's
And then
really
just I
funny,
love the
but-
guy's got a bag over his head and he like falls into the shot and then he just like pushes him away. Like there's some great shots. But yeah, just very fun film. Sam Raimi is so
I just watched
good.
it right now, Jordan. That's such a hilarious. When he's flying like directly up.
No, it's just launching to the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then I also saw Avatar and yeah, like Grant said, I just enjoyed it. It was it was literally the first movie, but you know, I just don't I wish he would make other films.
With more kids.
I
There were children in it. That's good.
yeah, and I cried, like I got emotional. It was just like, you know, of course they had to keep doing
Guys,
flashbacks.
it's
I'm
not
like,
a big deal. Jordan cries when he shouldn't, when it's completely not appropriate. So it means nothing.
oh, and then Clinton showed me The Gate because he was visiting, and that movie is really great. Like it's like Poltergeist. We need to review that movie. It's so
Gate?
bad, it's good. It's
Jor-
beautiful.
Well, wait, Poltergeist isn't so bad that it's good.
No,
though,
but
so
I'm saying, but
feels
it-
like it, but it's a bad version of it.
yeah, a worse
Okay.
version. Like the acting
Okay.
is a bunch of kid actors, and it's so bad, but it's so funny. And
Right
I
on.
just when I say like Cameron and Grant would refer to it as cheesy and campy and all that
Campy,
stuff.
yeah. I'm
Why-
glad we
why
learned
only
what
us
campy
two?
means on this podcast.
Well, because it's just funny because like watching Final Destination the first time, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy thriller. But then watching with Kat,
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is a comedy.
This is a
Like, it's-
comedy,
I
yeah.
was crying.
Yes. But or like
Mhm.
Chucky. Like, dude, I was terrified of Chucky
Yeah.
as a kid. Jordan and
Watching
I
it
flipping through
now-
the channels. I must have been 4 or 5. I watched Chucky strangle a man. He flips his car over and starts stabbing him while he's hanging upside down in his
Yeah,
car.
I saw.
Most
we have
horrific thing
video
as a
evidence
kid.
of Ty swearing. When Chuck
And
was
then later
breaking
you watch, he's
water.
like a foul-mouthed toy, and he like bites the one. He's like, "Oh, you stupid, filthy!" Ah! He like tries to bite. He's like, "Ah!" He bites her hand. It is laugh out loud funny. I just hit my table. Excuse me. Laugh out loud funny, and that's how I cured my phobia of Chucky the doll.
Wait, Grant, do you want to finish what you've watched?
I
We
think that
watch
was
it years
everything.
later.
Also saw The Favorite while Grant's looking that up, and that's same guy
Favorite.
that did The Lobster. Not a movie I recommend, but
You went and saw The Whale. That was
it was
great,
well
right?
made. hey, that one
Darren
finally got
Aronofsky.
me the next day, and then it hit me, and I'm in tears. I'm like, oh, I understand it.
Jordan cried
good?
after the movie. Jordan, I
Yeah,
think
how-
you're having like a mental breakdown, and you're like, I must be crying because of how good that movie was that I saw the other day. And you're like, I wasn't even thinking about it, but I am
don't think
crying
I've
now. So
Ever come to tears hours, day after a movie?
Jordan,
Well,
just
sometimes
thinking about it.
you have to think about them, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I understand. Like,
No, I'm not gonna give Jordan too much crap because I can cry on demand if I lip sync to like music. I know this is a weird skill I have, but anyway, if I was in Hollywood, give me a little earpiece. I could lip sync for a little while and I can bring myself to tears. I don't know why. Maybe it's thinking about a star that I could have been. I have no idea. It's the weirdest thing. Can anyone else do this? Is it just me?
I used to
Jordan,
cry-
you said you would
There's
cry
certain
when you go on
songs
runs,
that-
right?
I used to cry in bed and listening to Enya and just think about mom dying. I don't know why. It's just- every time
That's a
that
fun
music
way to
would
do
play,
that. Cool.
I always would just think in my mind, I'm like, someday mom's gonna die, and then I would just cry until I fell asleep. That happened,
Cameron,
for
Cameron, I don't
Halloween.
think we're talking about the same thing. I'm talking
I
about crying on
know,
demand. I'm
but
not
it
talking
just
about like your
reminded me of
deepest
that
fears,
childhood
dude.
memory, and I was like, "What the f was I going through?" I was just like, "Mom's gonna die someday," and who can?
Oh my God.
And I just
Sail away. Cameron's just
Bombing in
Mom,
bed next to like 6 inches from grandpa.
is mom gonna leave? Is mom
Yeah.
gonna go away?
Oh my god, it's bringing me to tears now.
That's so awful. Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
why. I just would think of that every night. I was just like,
That's
mom's gonna die
hilarious.
It's so
someday.
funny that you listen to Enya. I remember listening to Muppet Treasure Island soundtrack
Yeah.
and listening to the Yanni CD.
Yeah, Yanni.
Yeah, Yanni,
Yanni.
Enya,
The
and
Kenny Loggins,
is
Christopher Robin thing too.
Hawkins.
Christopher Robin is it? That ish is
Oh,
stuck
I
in my
remember that.
brain.
That
Yeah.
is so funny.
Of course,
Wait,
That
Dad
is
is
so funny.
indoctrinating us with Kenny Loggins. At a young age.
Yeah, he is. Hey, Ty, I'm actually curious to hear Cameron and Grant's thoughts on. Ty has some great ideas about coherence because
Okay,
he
just
watched
real
like
quick. I won't bore you because I know you. I actually listened to the podcast to make sure I don't repeat anything. Real quick, there were two things that I noticed on rewatch. One is the implication is that she M, the main character
Emily.
protagonist, she goes into a reality where she actually was a famous dancer. And
Yeah.
the reason I believe that is because her friend, the drunkard, he's like, "Oh, are you going to have the other girl be your understudy while you're gone in Vietnam with your boyfriend?" And he wasn't saying that mean. He was saying like she is now that famous star. She goes for it in this reality. The reality that she chooses at the end, it's one that she is the accomplished dancer. She didn't let that opportunity pass her by. She's a real go-getter. And that's why her relationship isn't stagnant with her boyfriend, because she is firm and confident in her decisions, which I thought was so weird because in the movie, I thought they were making us believe that he's like, no, there
Everything
is
was
no
the same
reality. And
until
all the
that
other
split
reality
up.
is with your girlfriend or with your wife.
Mhm.
But that's not necessarily true, because we do know that there are other realities that exist, because it didn't just branch off from that night. At least it started there. Maybe it's happened before, but like she did find a reality where she was the dancer. That was a clear line of dialogue because he asked her,
Huh.
watch it again. And I thought that
Sure.
was weird because I was like,
So maybe
so
he has
they had a
like
different
every
past, but
reality.
she went into a reality, but it did branch off from that universe where they were still having a dinner party that night, which I thought was interesting. I have some questions about that, obviously, because I thought it was only starting from that moment and they diverged. But it is a theory that's posited by the drunkard, but I think he's wrong because in the end, she actually finds a reality where she became a dancer, which would have been a previous decision prior to the dinner party, obviously. So I just thought that was interesting. So it's like, there were so many realities, but she entered one where there were actually previous decisions. But it's so crazy when she gets there, she's going to get discovered in the lie. And then you mentioned about the cell phone ringing. Yeah, I have so many questions because about Schrodinger's cat, when you open the lid, it collapses one of the realities on itself. Are we to believe that while there was coherence, which means that like they could actually see other realities and intermingle with them if they went to the dark place and came out on the other side? Were we to expect that after they closed, the realities would then collapse in on themselves, or could you coexist in a reality where you didn't actually belong? You were a visitor.
Yeah,
And I thought that was interesting.
because that's. I mean, I assume that we're just only following from the perspective of Emily, and
You
that's
are.
why all the other that's I would understand as all the other universes would collapse that she wasn't a part of.
Oh, interesting. So you believe that it's only following her? I believe that all the other ones go on existing, but when coherence happens, you no longer are able to view other realities. So all of them are happening. And if you end up going through this wormhole, the dark place, you might enter into a different one that you originally came from. And they use the word visitors. Like, we're visitors here. This isn't our original home. And it's fun to track it. I showed you guys that YouTube video where they go through all the different things. And so there are two thoughts. One of them believes that none of the changes, but one other thing I want to throw out there, the actor that plays the drunkard, he pretends to be an actor on Roswell. What's really cool is he's like, oh, I was an actor in something I've seen. She's like, oh, I didn't recognize you from the show. She's like, I love that show, Roswell.
And he's like one of the main people.
And
in
then
the
he
show.
mentions that you did yoga. But what's so great is both what's her name? Kim. What's the other actor? Yeah, the other, because there's M
Amir?
and then Beth. No,
Laurie,
Lori. Sorry, Lori. So she's the other
that
love
whore.
interest, right? Well, they play her off, and she seems totally nice. She's not like a man eater, except the one scene where she is with the boyfriend, and she's like,
I know
"Oh,
you're.
you
I
need
know
a
your
man that
your
you need
wife's
a woman that
your
decides to go to
girlfriend's in the other
Vietnam with
room,
you."
but-
Yeah. Anyway, what was so crazy is like that almost seemed like a passive aggressive argument they were having, because he mentioned yoga and she mentioned the Roswell and she didn't recognize him. They got to the dinner party late. They were the last ones to show up. Ari and Lori show up late. So they had already passed through a different reality where he was at a different
Like
TV
so much
show
more
than
sense.
she
So
knew.
those two we think they are the originals, but they're actually
Yes, so technically it already
separate,
happened before
yeah.
we even met the original
that
one.
movie gets
Isn't that
so
crazy?
good.
I love that. So So it's like you're starting with already it starts happening before you know it and anyone's privy to it, even before M and you start to catch on. I also like that the movie plays like a thriller, but it's more of just like a puzzle box that starts being solved because like things that can seem so scary, like a number on the back of a photograph of you seems so ominous, but it's like this is just a helpful reminder so you don't get lost in the multiverse. Like it's kind of silly, but
Yeah.
it looks so menacing because there's like a 1, a 2, and a 3 on the back of a photo of you, and you're like, who took these pictures? What's going on? It's so good. I absolutely love the movie Coherence. I think it was really, really brilliant. It was shot in 5 days, and the guy,
Mike should have won an Oscar for his.
it was directed for $50,000, made for $50,000.
I gotta blackmail myself.
Yeah, I forgot that I started, well, recommendation of Elise's brothers, I started a new anime called Attack on Titan. It's freaking good. Holy crap.
It's
Wait, what's it called?
Attack on Titan.
It's the one that Jake tried to force down my throat.
I've watched the. How far have you gotten in?
I'm episode 9, 8 or 9 of the first season.
Okay, so you got to the part because I stopped watching it once they started using the Spider-Man things from their legs that started shooting and they're like swinging around. I loved it.
That?
No,
No,
I
we're
liked
not
it.
talking about Coherence anymore. Sorry, what are we talking about?
Once again, well, I just love that they're like, I love this idea.
Attack on Titan anime.
The beginning was so fun, like these monsters taking over. But then as soon as the guys are using spider webs, I'm like, oh no, it turned into an anime show.
No,
that's the point.
what ruined the show for me was every single time I'm glancing down at my phone, Jake could pause it. And I'd be like, what? And he's like, you gotta watch. He's like, it's in whatever Japanese. He's like, you can't look down at your phone, otherwise you're missing dialogue. I was like, I'm gonna fight you, dude.
What a good man. I love Jake.
Are they
good?
And
for
he
him
made me watch
keeping you
8 episodes. 8.
Yeah, and how are you not hooked already, dude?
Hey, Cameron,
After
are you
episode 5? I was like, dude,
One
this is
Punch
so good.
and
I'm not gonna
Death
lie.
Note
Am I supposed to
10,
care when I
100
see a character like do the and then their eyes shimmer and they're like and then they go they tremble.
Just
I've
get
seen
used
that
to
in
it.
every single anime. They even do it in Death Note, but it made me laugh. where
Yeah,
it's
Death
just
Note was so good.
It's just
and
the
they're like their
style.
eyes shimmer. I know they just do it all the
Grant,
time.
are you doing it dubbed or are you doing subtitles?
Oh heck! Oh, subtitles is the only way to watch it, dude.
Oh
okay.
heck!
English dub is
Oh heck no!
dumb.
What in the
Dumb.
heck? Hey, those people that dub
Dude,
voices, they work
Japanese
really
voice
hard.
actors,
Grant.
they go 2,000% into
Grant,
the role. dude.
Grant,
Every
excuse
single
me.
character.
I'm gonna take a potato chip and eat it. That wasn't good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Death Note, they did a really good
Death
job.
Note dubbed was.
No, I agree.
Really well done.
But every other show.
I think they got like an actual psychomaniac to play it light, which really helps.
Somebody
Yeah.
in prison, just like,
Dude, I'm telling you, while it's on Netflix, browse over Death Note. It plays the scene where he's laughing to himself, and then Ryuk appears, and then he sees him, and he's like, "Ugh!" And he falls out of his chair so dramatically. It is so funny and so delightful to watch that scene over and over.
I
where he
can't wait
first
to
meets
review
Ryuk.
that.
Oh, dude, I know.
Yes,
I
that's
want
so
to
good.
masterpiece.
Grant started rewatching that like 2 years ago. I want to rewatch the entire series.
Me
Dude,
too.
every time
wanna
I
watch it with
get
my
like
wife.
2 or 3 episodes past the halfway point.
You just need to watch. You need to watch to the end where
just skip to the end and
technically
figure out what
beats
happens.
him.
I do want to know what happens.
No, just watch it once. Then every time you rewatch it, just watch till Light dies or L
Yeah.
dies, and then
Oh my gosh,
Whoa,
big
that's-
spoilers.
major
Big-
spoilers
Major
alert.
spoiler, folks. If you ever care.
All right, Ty, finish your
the
thoughts on
theme music's
Coherence.
really good.
So one last thing I wanted to say about the Coherence movie was what was a really fun Easter egg is the actor that plays the drunkard that played as an actor on Roswell. The actor, I believe, actually auditioned for Roswell, but he ended up playing in a show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer by Joss Whedon. He did the Avengers movies and everything. You may have heard of Joss Whedon. He made a small thing called the Avengers. Assemble. Okay. Anyway.
Oh, Ty, he also did the Justice League.
He also did the non-Zack Snyder Justice League. Yeah, that's right. DC and Marvel. Gosh, what an abysmal. I didn't even see that one. I realized I've never seen the Joss Whedon cut, and I'm actually glad I haven't. So
Me neither.
Don't.
Oh, but Cameron and Jordan, they
Think
went and saw.
about
Yeah,
Poor Cameron and Jordan.
Don't even think about it.
I want to see the fake CGI without
Yes,
the mustache.
that
CGI
was really
mustache
funny.
is
Maybe Jordan, maybe
king.
you should do an episode where you do that for me on the podcast. I'm like, I have like the fake lips or whatever. Get all the facial hair off. Anyway, the last thing I want to say about coherence was the actor actually auditioned for Roswell, but he actually did the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So what's kind of funny, it's like almost like a meta joke where the actor is pretending that because he says like, oh, I was on a TV show. I was a regular on Roswell, which is funny because if you're watching the show and you're a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you almost wonder if he's going to say Buffy in that moment. But he says another show that he actually auditioned for, but ended up going to Buffy. So it's just a clever moment because it plays almost as a coherence where maybe in the reality that Lori came from with her boyfriend was the one where he was famous on Buffy and she never watched Buffy. And she comes here and he's the one that went to Roswell instead of Buffy. I'm just saying because it's a clever meta joke. I love it because if you think about it, like think of like a good example of this is like Will Smith almost turning down the Matrix. Like if Will Smith had been in the Matrix, like what would his life been like? What would the Matrix be? What would the Wachowskis be? What would Keanu Reeves be? Like there would be so many things that would be changed just by one actor taking a different role. Maybe nothing would have changed, right? Maybe
he wouldn't have slapped Chris Rock.
Maybe he would have married a woman that respected him,
I'm
and
pretty
he
sure
never would have had a slap.
he also turned down Django Unchained, right?
Yes, he did. He said it was too grisly or something. I don't know, but
Hey.
he's probably like, it's not lighthearted enough. Yeah, yeah, no, lighthearted.
Well,
Maybe
but
I
then
could
Ty,
do a
he
rap
just
about Django
he
and
just did a
slavery,
movie
too.
about slavery, and I think it's because he's like, oh crap, I should have done that movie, and so he went and did another
Did
slavery movie.
Emancipation. They got like
Emancipated.
40%
Yeah.
on Rotten Tomatoes. Good job,
Yeah.
buddy.
I think he
Emancipation.
realized the mistake he made, so he's like, let's make our own
They
Django.
do a boring movie called 12 Years a Slave again. No offense to slave movies, but
Have you seen 12 Years a Slave?
they're
It's really
awful.
good.
Well, I
No,
mean,
I haven't.
it's just like
I haven't seen
so
Green
good.
Book. I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave. I
Ledger
haven't
tried
seen
out
all the
for,
movies.
Batman, right? I'm pretty sure
What?
Heath Ledger tried out for Batman and then didn't make it, and then but Christopher Nolan was like, you should really try out for Joker.
No way.
I'm pretty sure. Like
Nope,
imagine Heath Ledger as Dark Knight.
I still imagine though Adam
Pretty funny.
Sandler in Inglourious Bastards. Like he would have been the Bear Jew. He would have been perfect. Like
Adam Sandler.
All
was
I can
supposed to be
think
the
of is
Bear
him
Jew.
as an Uncut Gems playing a Nazi killer. Honey, I got some money for you.
that would be. I seriously that would have. I'm not even kidding. I think it would have enhanced it like so much more. I'm just saying.
I think Eli Roth's face when he's shooting Hitler's face up with his
Oh,
MP40.
it was great, but I mean, oh
That's
my
acting.
gosh. I just imagine.
Dude, that punch when he runs down the hallway is so legendary.
Was that no? But that wasn't Eli Roth's character. Right?
That
No,
He
wasn't
offers
Eli
the
Roth.
champagne.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
he does
He-
punch it, but
yeah,
then
he just punches.
That's Luigi or whatever his name is.
but Luigi.
Yeah.
Perfect. Dominic DeCoco. When he runs down the hall, punches him right through the gut, dude. I love that scene. The guitar riff or the bass running through the hall.
What else have you seen, Ty?
So I watched this crazy Netflix show. I don't recommend it. 1899. Have you guys seen it? It's on Netflix
Is that
everywhere.
the
It's like
wagon?
the ships. There's like the triangle everywhere. The ships in the black hole.
I've seen a trailer. For
I know you've
that.
seen it, and if you hover over Netflix, it's like a few hours ago, this distress signal came from this other ship. We're gonna go over to it and investigate. It basically, like, I'm gonna give spoilers here because it's not worth watching, but I almost like it. It's like Coherence meets what's the other? It's about multidimensional, but it also has this crazy twist where like it's taking place in space. So I don't know.
Oh, so
what to
the
call
Signal.
that. It's like Signal. It's like it's like the movie Air almost.
The
You know?
Signal? Have you ever heard
Oh,
of
the
Signal?
air.
Yeah, but like they're like in pods and they're sleeping, but they wake up and then they're like mental
Passengers?
patients or something, and they're all passengers. Yeah, but like they're having this thing where they're like going to 1899 and there are passengers on a ship, and
The passengers?
every time the ship like goes into a new collapsing memory, a new ship appears and it calls for help. I almost would have liked it. It almost felt like the movie Lost or the TV show Lost when it was coming out. It was the mystery box. It felt like it was directed by J.J. Abrams. It's like a mystery, 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 mystery. And then it's like, I don't care anymore. Like it literally lost me after 2-3 episodes. So I actually went to YouTube and just did ending explained, and they gave a recap, and I was like, yeah, okay. And it just comes out of nowhere. They're like, it's all happening in space, but they're having like visions on an 1899 boat. But there's plenty of like weird things where like everyone speaks their own language and everyone seems to understand each other. It's a very weird just a very weird show. So
So
anyway,
the Tower of Babel.
I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, well yeah, the Tower of Babel. I thought
don't
you were
know
talking
what
about
that
like
is.
a movie.
I haven't seen that
Sounds
one.
familiar. What is that?
Is that new?
Big tower in the
I haven't seen
sky,
that movie.
language being confounded. Oh, the Bible. Yeah. Okay.
Did
I've
Will
heard of
Smith
it.
in that one? No.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one. Anyway, it was a weird show though, so I don't actually recommend it. But 1899, if you're like into weird sci-fi, mind bending, and it was sci-fi and it had like almost a historian Victorian or what do you call that, like period piece movie. And I'm like, oh, there's something for my wife and something for me, like a sci-fi with a period piece element. Like I actually really, it felt like watching Dark at the beginning, where like the ship is like, we're getting a distress call. They get to the ship and then like all the passengers are gone. They go on board and they find one boy and he's got like a tattoo on his neck, and you find out what that means later. But then like one of the guys like, dude, I bet he transformed into a wolf and he ate all the other passengers. It's cool because it plays this mystery, but in the end it just gets dumb. But like I really like the beginning because it made me feel like, oh, I almost would have enjoyed it where because they get a message on telegraph from the company that owns the ship, and their message was 2 words. It says sink ship. And it just gives you this ominous feeling like, dude, whatever's on board, sink that ship. Like I loved it. Anyway. So no, they don't decide to sink it though. They hook it up and then they decide to drag it back to England or whatever. It's dumb. But I just like telegraphs that are like no explanation. It's like kill everyone on board or do not let them on board. Sink ship is like the most ominous thing to telegraph someone. I thought that was great. Built my suspense and then it just dropped
I
off.
would have sunk it. No remorse.
Yeah, it was like Dark. In fact, one of the actors is from Dark. That's why I recognized him. But it was really good. Oh, and it reminds me of Haunting of Hill House. Thank you. That was the other show it reminded me of because there's like grief.
You're like saying all these things I like, and you're like, but don't watch it. It's not good.
Like I said, watch the first episode because I actually think the first episode does a good job. And then you're like, if you like and vibe with it, go for it. But like I was already like, it's like it's dark, but it's not dark enough. It reminds me so much of the show Dark, that Stranger Things the German knockoff of Stranger Things, that weird one. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I enjoyed Dark. At least I watched just the first season.
I know. I quit after the first season too, and I'm like, I'd love to see what happened with that story. It's kind of, but I worry it's the Stranger Things effect, where it's like,
and it might get convoluted. Yeah,
convoluted, or it's a twist that I don't care about. It's like when you watch Lost or anything by J.J. Abrams anymore, Bad Robot Productions. It's just like, oh, there's a mystery, and none of them matter. Like I like the buildup, but then it's not satisfying because.
And Netflix, I feel like dishes out a lot of these, like where I'm like, oh, there's moments I'm like, this seems so perfect and right up my alley. And then I'm
how
like,
exciting is that? He gets this telegraph and he's like, Captain, you need to come look at this. And he goes, sink ship. And then they just like pan up and he's looking at the commander deck and you see this ship, like this giant ship. And you're like, dude,
did you watch Triangle yet, Cameron? Because that's what it's reminding me of. Triangle. You can check that one out.
Triangle. Wait, what? But not sadness. What? One
no, but it's a lot like Coherence.
Coherence. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to check Triangle out, dude.
Ty, one I watched, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but Alice in Borderland. There's an episode that everybody needs to watch, though. It's amazing. The rest of the show is like, first season's way better than the second season. It's literally Escape Room meets Squid Games.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love Escape Rooms so much. Dude, M3 again reminded me so much of your Escape Room movies, dude.
What'd you say, Grant?
What did I say?
Or Cameron say? Who said what?
I just said I don't know why you don't like that movie.
Oh, I like Escape Room. Yeah,
no,
the second one's garbage.
You monkey.
Oh, you like Escape Room, Cameron?
Yeah, I think the first one's fun.
I have more thrills and chills doing an escape room myself than watching the movie Escape Room. Like if you're gonna make a movie, like make it the coolest escape room of all time. Instead, it's like people are dying off screen.
They already made it. Ty, they already made that movie. It's called Saw.
Yeah.
No, it's called Spiral.
Thank you. No, I'm not kidding. Thank you.
That is exactly. Speakers get ripped off.
That is exactly it. Thank you, Jordan. I knew it. I was like, I know there's an exciting escape room out there done right. It's called Saw. Thank you. That's it. There's
and Squid Game.
Watch Escape Room and you're like, what is this? I did actually like the ending, to be fair. I think I like the ending.
Yeah. All I wanted to say though about Alice in Borderland is they like all these characters died off in perfect ways in season 1, and then all of a sudden they brought like a ton of them back in season 2, and it's like,
the game.
He didn't really
Michael
die.
Douglas, David Fincher, The Game, right?
Oh, is that
that's a better escape room?
I don't know
That
if
literally is the
Yeah,
escape room.
that's a good point.
it's an escape life, man.
It's
That's
escape
what
life,
it is.
yeah.
But that's my point. It's like, how stupid is it?
You
It's like they're
killed
confined to a room. I don't
yourself.
fucking care.
Yay!
Escape
Love
life.
you. I'm like,
Is that like a play on the word suicide? Escape life.
yeah, I'm just like, oh, this is a
He tries to
horrible
escape
message.
life actually at the end.
He tries to kill himself, and they're like,
Just-
you knew it was a game. We're so proud of you." And he's like, "Uh-huh.
He's like,
I definitely
what
knew
is
there was a
happening?
net.
He's
I knew
like,
there
I
was a
tried to kill
net."
myself 2 minutes ago. What is happening? This is a lot to dump on somebody.
Oh
You're
man.
cured. You're healed. Our relationship is better now. It's like, no, it's not.
I just tried to kill myself. I don't know if I'm in
Oh, dude,
the
I love
mood to
it, dude.
party.
I love it.
All right.
Anyway, no other shows. Yeah, Coherence. I watched twice. I watched it myself, and then I rewatched it with my wife because I was like, "You got to watch this." Now I think I'm gonna force my brothers-in-law to watch it because I think the premise is so well done. I think my favorite scene at the end was with the montage. There's like one that they're doing. They have Xander. I call him Xander from Buffy, but the drunkard. He's like tied up, and they're doing like a séance over him. There's like one where there's two of them tied up in a chair. I just loved it. Like she's coasting through all these realities. Where
Mike
you're
should
like,
have won an Oscar
some
for
of
that,
those
bro.
evenings they had the craziest night of their lives, dude. And anyway, and at the end where she's just like, I guess I'll just drug myself and take this life. I guess she just assumed that her other existence would disappear if she left her out in the car because maybe it was beyond the dark place. A lot of questions, right? I'm like, what was
All
her
I know,
plan?
all I
She
know is
fainted, unfortunately.
first thing I'm doing if I ever meet doppelganger me is I'm blackmailing him.
Dude, I
That's
love
the
that too,
only
where he's
logical
like, I
thing.
know it'll work because I like it would work on me, right? And and then I also love like where he's like, dude, if I'm effed up over here, like imagine there's another effed up version of me out there. And I love it. He like, so get this, the actor, he actually has a twin. So his twin came in and he was fighting with his twin.
Oh
And the
yeah.
scene where he's tied up, it's actually a twin. He actually has a real life twin. He doesn't do any acting, but he showed up for the movie because they didn't have any special effects on the budget for 50,000. But I love that his twin actually came and wrestled with him in that scene and then was tied up with him. Like, it's just cool to see like him use a twin to his benefit. And that's why he's one of the few characters that you see in the same shot. He's the only one that they
Yeah, and
because
that
they see M. You have a fake. She has like a wig on when she's dragging her. They cut to different shots where you don't see M twice in the same frame, but it's
And
just really cool.
I was wondering how they did that shot. I'm like, how did they do that? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, he has a twin.
He has a twin. He actually has a real life twin, which I thought was
So
really cool that
cool.
they brought him for this
Yeah.
movie. And anyway, Coherence was a really well thought experiment with like so many different realities. And I'll stop talking about Coherence, I promise. Grant and Jordan. But I just love the idea that like every time they left, they were leaving and it's a roulette wheel. They have like no way of knowing that they will go back to a reality one that they even belong to. But a lot of them were consistent because a lot of these characters had the same motivations and same upbringing. Like they're different versions of themselves. So a lot of them would still stay true. Because I thought it was interesting at the beginning of this movie, they all leave the house and come back in and it's a different home because they notice a broken glass on the table. So in that reality, thankfully, there was not a single soul that remained behind to upend their notion that it's still the same evening, right? Yeah. Nothing's off yet. It's just, oh, I thought why is this glass broken? But then they leave, four of the other ones leave the second time. And then when they come back to a different house. And the two characters that remain behind, Lee and the crazy tranquilizer woman, horse tranquilizer, Beth, they stay behind. And then the other four characters that come back and they see themselves with the glow sticks and then they run past each other. I love that. It was just really well done. Like less is more. It was a clever project. 98% of the movie was unscripted, he said, the director. And I was just like, that blew me away. Like he let the actors kind of in on the premise and then he allowed them to kind of play out their different stories. And M didn't even know she was the protagonist of the movie until the end, like after the movie came out, because she thought she was like a side character. Like she's like, I'm doing some pretty despicable things. She just thought she was like a villain, but she's like, oh no, like mine was the protagonist role. Like this was shot in 5 days. So like I imagine all these actors were just getting together. They were riffing off each other. They understood the premise. And so they were all kind of playing into that. And they did a really good job at just tying this really interesting story. And I think sometimes when you have a story like this, it like opens a story where I'm like, dude, do a TV version of this, right? Like it's like opening the Matrix almost, where you're like, I love the idea that it's something as simple as a dinner party that goes so wrong. And there's so many versions of yourself out there. Like, what if you get trapped in one reality that you don't belong in and you also are there still? Like there's two versions of you in one reality. The Schrodinger's cat would suggest that maybe after Coherence passes, the comet passes, maybe the reality would snap out of it, like, or you would get kicked out. But she gets the phone call from herself, so it at least leads to believe that she's at least there, at least until she finds out that she has a doppelganger, right? Because when he says, I'm getting a call from you, she doesn't instantly vaporize, but the music kind of swells and then it just fades to black. There's like a lot of speculation that you could guess what happens. I like to think that once coherence is passed and it's now decoherence, everyone's back in their own realities. But if they get lost, I think they're just stranded. I think they remain wherever they were. So there's like a lot of realities out there that are really messed up. But as you saw, there was at least one that they never went outside. They never split up. Everyone was the same people. They all belonged to the same reality. And of course, M had to go mess that one up. That poor group had never bothered to go outside, never did any changes. And of course, she's like, I think I'll just drug myself, take her place. And it's like, but girl, you haven't been even doing the dancing lately. Like, do you even know, like, what life decisions have you made? And like, do you even know whose life you're living, you know? Anyway, I like that the director also asked his friends, and he goes, a lot of his friends were in agreement that they were like, yeah, I'd probably hurt myself. Like, if there was the best version of me out there and I had a chance to slip into his or her shoes, I probably would take it. And I'm
And you said he's doing a TV show, right?
yeah, I
That's the
need to look
plan?
up because he
Oh.
was trying to launch a TV show about coherence.
Oh,
And he was going to explore, like, what was it like I think he wanted to go down one rabbit hole, not necessarily Emily's story, but maybe, or Emma's story, M story, but like maybe like a reality where multiple people like had gotten stranded in a reality where they already existed. So it's like, what do you do with a doppelganger? You're like, you get a new identity now, or like, did you originally belong here? Are you a visitor? Who could tell, right? It's like, no, I was here first. No, I was here first. It's almost like watching the end of Prestige, but like maybe he wasn't locking himself in a fish tank and drowning himself. Maybe he was just making friends with his duplicates and being like, hey, I'll go on to do something else. You don't have to kill me. I won't tell anyone because I care about the magic just as much as you.
Last thing I'm looking forward to is I got so excited when I heard Quentin Tarantino wrote a miniseries.
A miniseries.
I'm so excited.
Do we know anything about it? The project? Did he say anything about it?
No, he just announced that he had written it and he's just refining it right now.
I love it.
So I mean, there's going to be a huge bidding war.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, HBO,
I'm so
Netflix,
excited.
all of them. Yeah, Prime. I wonder who would get it. I feel like his would vibe with HBO, just personally, just because I think they do the more.
Personally, I think HBO would be the best. But then again, Netflix has been willing to give him an insane amount of money, and I'm sure he's fine taking whoever is willing to give him. And he just said, as long as he
can, get it.
He said, as long as he can direct all the episodes. So I mean, they'll give him whatever he wants, I'm sure.
I've been working on my Tarantino impression, but it's not very good. It's just like, yeah, and it's so crazy that all these networks are coming to me with the fistfuls of cash. I can't do it. But he's crazy. He's manic. I can't do it.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, folks. We'll end with that. Futro Hidden Movie Gems. We love you, listeners. Keep listening. Keep being excellent. This is a new year. Let's go. Futro Hidden Movie Gmail. Wait, what is it? Futro Hidden Movie
what is it called? Hidden Gmail.
Futro Hidden Movie Gmail. It's Gmails.
Futro Hidden Movie Gems, right? What is it called?
You should just end it right there. I love it.
futurehiddenmoviegmail.com. Bye. I don't speak too good. What is it? Futro Movie Gems. No. What's the email? Who cares? I love you guys. Listeners, leave us a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube. We're all over our catalog, our whole history.
I deleted our Twitter account because Twitter sucks. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, Twitter's toxic. But what's the one that you do the 1 minute recaps? Those are my favorite.
Oh, I used to do that on Instagram. I don't make those anymore, but
oh man, those were so funny.
They are fun.
But it takes too long. I agree. Well, we should all write down our best quotes and whatever, and we could all just say them again at the end of the podcast. We just repeat our jokes. But folks, this has been so fun. We love you guys so much. Take it easy. And
I would love to do
what movie
that.
recommendations do you have for me, Jordan? Because again, I can't see your video library. I just have to go off of
Bedeviled and
I know. Memoir of a Murderer. But
I only tell you like a million times.
Anything else that's not a foreign film? I'm just not in the mood for a foreign film tonight. Not that I'm racist or anything. I just
I don't know. I'll text you. I can't think of anything right now.
I know. What was
Triangle
Gate.
It's Cameron. I think will like that one more.
You said
than
the Gate was good.
Oh, the Gate was fun. I mean, if you want a movie so bad it's good, it depends on what you're in the mood for.
Okay, I'll keep that one in my chamber or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying.
I'll look through the list.
I'm gonna go. Bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, later. Bye. Wait.